Hey, welcome to VMware Explore Barcelona 2024. Man, what a week it has been. We've been talking to customers, partners, anybody with a good story. And let me tell you, we've got some folks today that have a great story. We're talking folks from the community, talking about blogging. A good friend of mine for many years, Mr. V Ninja. Thank you so much, Christian, for coming back to the podcast. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good. Good to be back in Barcelona as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always a good time. So
yeah. You are, in my opinion, in the OG group. Like you've been a podcaster for years. You've been blogging for years, which is something I definitely want to talk about today. And you've brought along someone that I've just met this week. Pleasure to meet you, Steiner. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's really cool to be here.
Awesome. Very good to have you guys. I want to see what you guys are up to. But before we, Christian, I thought a great title for this would be sort of blogging a lost art. And the reason I say a lost art is because I think blogging is so important when it comes to the tech community and learning. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. But it seems like when you and I first started doing this, there were a lot more blogs to read and to write. And I feel like it's kind of changed over the years. Am I wrong? What's your take on that?
No, I agree with that. I mean, we used to have, you had Eric Siebert's V-Top blog thing, right? You had this yearly kind of ranking of everyone and voting and stuff like that. And there were hundreds of them, right? You can find new voices just about everywhere. New ones popped up from somewhere and stayed around, right? But it seems like there's a lot of less news people entering kind of the blogging sphere, and perhaps people like me as well, who's been around it for a while, doesn't produce as much as we used to either, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a decline, I think, in the amount of self-published blogging in favor of perhaps other media and stuff like that. But also, it seems like people these days don't want to write as much as we did back then. I mean, I'm dating myself here now by talking about the good old days. But
back in my day.
Yeah, well, it's a privilege of being a graybeard, I guess. But it's been around for a while, so something has changed. It has.
With William Lamb being the obvious exception, of course, you know, everybody loves, and you would think that William sets the bar, Steiner. Like he's been writing so long, and people love to read his blogs. He gets so much good feedback from that. But you would think that would maybe encourage people, but it doesn't seem that way.
That's what happened to me, because I read so much of Christian's blog and then William's blog, and I still do. And I was like, okay, I want to get into this. So I asked Christian, okay, how should I do this? And then after a while, it was like, just blog on my blog. And then now we blog together, which is really good. And I think I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. So I'm trying to get like the younger crowd that I meet through work to be like, why don't you get a blog? But they're all like, I don't know how to start.
Yeah, I think there's a fear of like, oh, what I have to say isn't good enough. If I write something, someone's going to judge me for it and all that. I think there is a little bit of a fear factor in that involved. But I would highly recommend, Christian, you and I were talking about this, like just do it, get it out there. Yeah. And like, I remember I had a blog once that basically just said, it was basically to myself. Mm-hmm. Like I kept forgetting a key shortcut that I used all the time. And I was like tired of trying to find out what this shortcut key was. So I wrote a blog of like a bunch of shortcut keys that I really love to use. And essentially it was a diary, but I published it. Exactly. And I got feedback from it saying that people actually, use those. So no matter how big it is, it seems like, the goal here is to just get it out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a 1,500 word story or an essay, right? If you figure something out, write about it, document it, and tell people about it. You never know who's going to come looking for it. And if 2 people read it and you help them, you've helped someone.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is, don't be afraid to start. I mean, just do it. I might be a kind of a weird case here because I don't have that gene of being afraid of doing things. So I just started publishing things, right? I had a couple of sessions today as well, which is also something that I don't fear it. I just do it, right? So I might be in a kind of low percentage of people who doesn't get stage fright or things like that. But either way, just figure out, if you learn something, why not share it with someone? So the old adage of sharing is caring is kind of, it's true. And that's where I started. I started writing things about experiences I had with infrastructure, basically VMware stuff, most of the time, right? Then it dawned on me that someone else was actually reading this. I didn't even do statistics to begin with because, well, I just publish it.
Right.
It'll live on the internet. That's fine. Someone might read it, someone might not. But it helped me kind of evolve in my career. It helped me get to where I am today, basically because I started writing and started getting noticed, right? And the other part is actually sitting down and thinking about how you're going to word or present something to someone that you figured out. That helps you find your own inner voice in a way, right? So it's also, it might be knowledge sharing, but it's also self-improvement or self-development as a part of it.
Yeah, that is
and
a
that's
fascinating
crucial.
point. Yeah, that's so true. It is something that if you've never done, you probably don't really understand that until you actually do that. I've been there myself, where sometimes the best way to learn something is to teach it.
Exactly.
You know, and how do you do that? Well, you get your hands on there, you get your lab going, you try to figure something out, and you blog about it, and you write about it. And who knows, you might make many changes to that blog over the time to say, oh, well, I could have done it better this way, because someone might say, I really loved your blog, but here's a PowerShell script that actually did this differently, or I love this, or it was crap, Pete. Don't ever do that again. I've never gotten that one. But it's always nice to get good feedback to learn. I have written blogs on stuff that, like automating something, for example, and somebody would come back and be like, that's really cool, but you should try this. And I'd be like, okay, so now I'm actually not only learning because I was teaching myself, but I'm also learning because I'm working with a community of people that they want to make everybody better.
And if you don't tell people what you're working with, how can they help you with getting you to accomplish what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
If you don't tell anyone. And that's what kind of why I pushed you into starting with this thing. Stina used to spend a lot of time thinking about how should I do this, how do I get started, how do I everything. And so stop thinking, just do it.
And I was really worried about those small blogs. I was really worried about, someone's going to be like, this is basically just like a little paragraph.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are the ones that help the most, because when you're deep into something and you're like, I don't remember how to do this, and then you find a way in where someone has a blog and it's just a tiny little thing that helps you and makes that day. And I think people should remember that more often.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, and I'd love to talk a little bit about this, but you had mentioned, that videos are not really a replacement for blogs.
Yeah.
So, could you elaborate on that?
I mean, technical videos, that's like, I
crucial.
really enjoy that people make them. But if I'm troubleshooting something, I can't be sat there for 12 minutes and be like, oh, actually, that was just in the headline. It wasn't even touched on. And it's like,
Yeah. It's very frustrating when you're trying to figure something out, and there's a YouTube video for everything, for how to do anything. There's probably a YouTube video on how to actually not do a YouTube video. There's a video for everything, but people make them, and then you have to, sometimes it's like 1.5 speed, because it takes them an hour to get to the point, and then when they finally get to the point, it's not what you needed anyway.
Yeah.
There's no replacement for, being able to actually search something.
No, exactly. If you have a specific error message somewhere and you search for that, and what pops up is a Google video.
Yeah.
Or a YouTube video, rather. How do you figure out exactly where in that video that error kind of popped up, and how do you fix it? I don't mind people making videos showing how stuff works and how it looks, installing something, things like that.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of blog posts like that with screenshots, right? But whenever it's a particular problem you're trying to solve, if you put the error message that you solved in your header in your blog, it's going to get read, because people are going to run into the exact same issue, right?
Yeah.
And it's much, much easier to consume. And how do you skim a video?
Yeah.
You can skim a blog post and find whatever you needed in it and move on with it. You can't do that with your video,
You can't
right?
control F a video, can you?
No, and I mean, like, even an installation video, it's, so you start the installation, and then, I didn't understand this, and then you're like 3 seconds back, 3 seconds back, 3 seconds back, and you're like, God, I wish this had would have just been like a still.
Yeah.
So-
Oh yeah. I'm getting stressed out just thinking about it because I've been through that. But
Yeah.
so I think we get the point on that, right? Like blogging is important. That videos is not a replacement for blogging, and I would highly encourage people to actually blog.
Yeah, videos can be a great addition to a blog.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love demo
Right.
videos.
Yeah.
I love doing podcast videos
Yeah.
for what it's worth, but I certainly, I love a good demo video to show me how something, specific might work. But certainly, it does not, in my opinion, replace the core of a good blog. Absolutely.
You can flip that coin as well. If we took this video now and did a transcription of it
Right.
and published it, who's going to read that? No
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
So someone might enjoy, for some reason, watching this,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't
I do
enjoy.
have a face for radio. I should have stuck with just audio.
And I have a voice for silent movies, but that's not how it works. But a transcript of this wouldn't be an interesting read.
No.
Right? This is a conversation. It's a dynamic thing.
Absolutely.
A technical blog post is something entirely different. So tailoring your medium to what you want to achieve and using the correct medium for the correct type of content, that's where it's now starting to look like everything has to be a video.
Yeah.
Everything has to be on TikTok, right? So I wish we could get back to a thriving technical community that published a bunch of weird technical blogs that helps people.
Yeah.
I would love to get back to that.
Yeah. Well,
It was really good time, and everyone kind of pushed each other to do things as well, which was also a good thing. So
and everyone was just so helpful. It helps tremendous amount. Like, just think of how many times you've been into William Lab's blog for something. It's just
I never
everyone
start
can do
there.
it.
I start with Google,
Yeah.
and I end up on William's blog
Yeah.
because what I was looking for, usually William has already written a blog about it. So yeah,
So all roads lead to William, I guess.
Pretty
But
much,
yeah,
pretty much.
yeah, that's true.
So on that note of like, it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to actually improve your own skills. You mentioned it's a great way to work with community. We're here at VMware Explore. You've been you're here all week. You've been talking to people that you probably see only online.
Yeah.
How has your week been here, being amidst the V community?
I mean, I love it. I'm just a kid in the candy shop. I go to everything. I get stressed out because I want to see too much stuff, and I've started a bit late with the community, and now I've missed out on so many times, like good times that you guys have had, and
We can't talk about all those.
No, some of those are definitely redacted, but yeah.
but I mean, it's good to see that around the community tables, that's where it's at, and
Yeah.
everyone just wants to help each other and have little talks. I mean, I love the big sessions as well, but the small ones, that's where I'm at.
I like that.
Community
I like that.
sessions this year has been really good.
Yeah. Have you presented at all? I know I've seen you present
done a
before. Have you
couple,
done?
yeah.
You've done
Yeah.
a few this week,
Yeah.
right?
I
What
had
have you presented on?
one I did twice today, actually. So 2 separate ones, but 3 presentations in all. So
And what's the
that's
topic?
good. It's been good.
What's the topic?
The first one was talking about all the kind of figuring stuff out from the old days. That was a self-made Power CLI script for shutting down my home lab. But I kind of went down a rabbit hole and created a REST API with authentication on top of it, so I can call it from wherever. So it's become more of a Power CLI bridge thing than just basically a shutdown
Wow.
thing. So it's a rabbit hole thing.
Did you write a blog about it?
I will, but all the code is on GitHub, so
There
and
you
it's
go.
documented there. So
Yeah, good
I'll
point.
do something afterwards.
Good point.
Also published the videos that I created demo videos for it.
Very good.
And the other one was basically security related. I did a one on rogue VMs and how you can create a VM that you don't see in the vCenter or ESXi client, but it still runs on your host.
Well, yeah, I'd love to see these. I have not been able to get over to
Yep.
that booth because we've been here podcasting all week, but please
Exactly.
share those with me.
Yeah, will do.
Steina, it's been so cool meeting you. Christian, as always, it's great seeing you. Thanks for joining us on Virtually Speaking, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been
You
amazing.
will.